Welcome to Eye on Horror, episode 15. I'm your host, James J. Edwards, and with me, as always, is your host, Jacob Davison. How you doing, Jacob?
Doing good and happy to be back.
Right on. I'm happy to be back. It's been a while. We've been letting people down. Also with us, and happy to be back, I'm sure, is John Correa. How you doing, John?
I'm doing well. Yesterday was my birthday, and so I'm feeling a little rough today. So apologize for that, but you know, I'm pretty much back to the human level.
And not as rough as you're gonna feel tomorrow, from what I understand. You got big plans tonight, don't you?
Oh boy.
My girlfriend is taking me to a whiskey distillery tour, but I doubt that's going to be as much as last night's shenanigans. You know.
Oh boy.
Went to a barcade and played a lot of Rampage.
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 Which for our listeners, if you don't know, Rampage is not only available on home video, where all great retailers hold this, but it is also currently available on HBO and HBO Go and HBO Now.
We have not talked to you guys in a very long time, and I have to say most of that's my fault because I'm in two critics groups, and we are deep into awards voting, and I really am just been playing catch up and watching a ton of movies that, unfortunately, most of them are not horror. So
Sad.
It's a little bit of a bummer. Yes, it is sad. And actually, I mean, carving out a couple hours to record this is no big deal, but it's carving out the time to edit it that is where that, you know, in the time it takes to edit one of these things, I could watch like 4 movies. So that's what I've been doing. So it's my fault, not these guys. These guys have been like, yeah, let's record. And I've been like, oh, I can't. Like, you know, I can't come out and play. I got work to do.
Well, I don't know. I think I contribute pretty largely to that. November was an extremely busy month for me, gigs-wise. But now I'm on a long-term consistent gig, so I'll have more time.
Plus, hopefully. I was traveling for Thanksgiving, so we're all to blame.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, you know, I mean, I was trying to take all the blame away from you guys, but if you guys want to shoulder it with me, hey, there you go.
There's no need to martyr yourself, James. All right.
Well, nevertheless, we are back, and hopefully we'll be more regular after the first of the year.
Yeah.
Because that's what you guys deserve, those of you who do listen. You deserve regularity, and we should be able to deliver it.
Yeah.
We haven't talked it's literally been probably 6 weeks. So what's been going on since we've talked last? What have you been doing, Jacob?
Well, like I said, I did some traveling last month for the Thanksgiving holiday. I was visiting my family back in Boston and in Connecticut. While I was visiting my mom in Connecticut, I also went to Vinegar Syndrome's headquarters, the Archive, in Bridgeport, Connecticut again. And again, it is the genre lover's wonderland. It is also the greatest video store on the planet, in my opinion. I was there for their Black Friday weekend sale, and had a lot of great deals, but also they did a lot of exclusives for Vinegar Syndrome, doing like their Black Friday releases. So it was 3 big ones this year: Mausoleum, The Children, and Cutting Class, with none other than Brad Pitt.
I actually picked up all 3 of those titles and even got the same slip cover as you, the Trampoline Skull one.
Yes.
From Vinegar Syndrome's Black Friday sale.
While I was at the Archive, I also got the new 4K release of Django from Arrow Video, which also comes with a 2K transfer of this other Franco Nero spaghetti western called Texas Adios. So that's really cool. Although the big find for me there was I found a copy of the limited edition Arrow Video Donnie Darko box set.
Is that out of print?
Yeah, it's out of print.
It didn't come out all that long ago. Was it super
last
limited?
year, 2017?
Wow, okay.
Went quick. So, you know, and that was the thing. I only really got into Donnie Darko recently because for those of you who don't know, I also work at the Arrow Theater in Santa Monica, where they actually shot the theater scene of Donnie Darko, where Donnie is with his girlfriend seeing an amazing double feature of The Last Temptation of Christ and The Evil Dead. So that's the theater I'm working at. And yeah, no, it really made an impact on me, and I was sad I wasn't able to get that box set, but lo and behold, the archive had it, so jumped right on it.
Yeah, I got mine a while ago, back when Amazon was still doing warehouse deals on Blu-rays, because they don't really do that much anymore. And I got one that was like kind of dinged up just a little bit for like $20, so
nice.
It's a good set.
It was worth it.
I also, from the Vinegar Syndrome Black Friday sale, I also got Dear Dead Delilah, and
ooh, how is that?
I haven't watched it yet. I haven't watched anything that hasn't come as a screener in my mailbox in about 2 months. I also picked up that Dennis Hopper documentary. It's called The American Dreamer. It was one of the there was a link to lead you to the cheap blowout stuff, so it was like $10, and I was like, hey, you can't beat that. And again, I haven't watched any of this stuff because I haven't watched anything that hasn't come in my mailbox as a screener for forever. So I can't wait to dive into this Vinegar Syndrome stuff, though. Couple more weeks and I'll be able to.
Yeah, they always got good stuff. Although, speaking of screeners, I got to see Leprechaun Returns.
How was it?
I actually really liked it.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was by Steve Kostanski, the guy that did The Void, and he was part of Astron 6. He made it genuinely fun. It's a direct sequel to the original, so that's pretty neat. I mean, sadly, no Warwick Davis, unfortunately, but Lyndon Porco, he's the new guy playing the Leprechaun, did a great job. I really liked it. And yeah, nice. So it's got a lot of puns, got a lot of slapsticky type deaths. Special effects are pretty good. Again, Steven Kostanski comes from a practical effects background, so mostly practical, and the CG they do use works. Yeah, it's just a genuinely fun Leprechaun sequel. Definitely better than some of the direct-to-video ones. It's better than Leprechaun in Space.
Leprechaun in Space. What about Lep in the Hood? Lep in the Hood is genius.
Nah, Back to the Hood. That's
they're kind of the same movie
one right there. He raps in it.
Okay, nothing can quite top the leper rap, especially with Ice-T. But yeah, it's definitely
I'm the Leprechaun, and I'm here to say
it's definitely a step up from that Leprechaun Origins movie, where they just made the Leprechaun like just kind of a more generic killer thing.
Wasn't that was it with Sheamus? It was with a wrestler.
Yeah, the WWE produced it.
Hornswoggle.
Hornswoggle, yeah, not Sheamus. Hornswoggle, yes.
Yeah. No, Leprechaun Origins was... It took itself too serious, and it's like, this is not a franchise that ever took itself serious. Ever.
Yeah, Leprechaun Returns is genuinely fun and actually made me laugh. Like, it had some genuinely pretty funny jokes. So I think it comes out on Tuesday, but yeah, if you're a Leprechaun fan, as we all are, I definitely recommend checking it out.
We haven't been together in long enough. I don't think have we talked about Overlord?
Oh no, we haven't.
Oh my god, did you love it or did you love it?
I fucking loved that shit.
I loved Overlord. Did you see it, Kriya?
No, unfortunately, I worked most of November, so most of what I've been doing is I got my 2 copies of Candyman in, one from Arrow and one from Scream Factory, which...
Talk about hedging your bets.
Yeah, well, I ordered the Amazon or the Arrow one as soon as it went live, and then like a couple weeks later, Scream Factory announced their collector's edition, and I had collect the Scream Factory collectors. It's like the one thing where it's like I own all of them, so I kind of have to keep buying all of them with the slip covers, and so I was like, fuck, I'm going to be double dipping really quick. But Arrow won on packaging by far, because that is a beautiful artwork and beautiful just all around packaging with it. Their special features are phenomenal. But Scream Factory had the leg up because they had the uncut version. So I have it's like between the two, I have 4 discs and 3 different versions of Candyman, and it is all fantastic. So if you're on the fence between the two, fuck your wallet, just get both. Honestly,
oh,
fuck your wallet.
Yeah, it's one of those movies where it's worth to double dip that quick on.
So back to Overlord for a second. I absolutely loved it. It kind of starts out like Saving Private Ryan, but then it goes somewhere else. And thankfully, I was thankful. I was skeptical at first because they said it's a World War II zombie movie. It's not. it's not really zombies.
Yep.
It's something that it's better if you discover it on your own what the threat is, but it's not zombies.
Going
and
blind.
It is incredible. Yeah.
And that's the other thing too. Like they did a really great job of amping up the tension without even like the real horror elements. Because like, yeah, for a big chunk of the movie, it's just, oh fuck, there are Nazis around.
Yes, yeah. I mean, the thing that it opens with a bunch of paratroopers, in a plane, and their job is to blow up this radio jammer that is keeping communication, is keeping the ships that are going to invade for D-Day from communicating with each other. So they have to blow up this transmitter. So they're flying over this occupied area of France, and they're getting shot at, and they jump out of this plane, and they're getting shot at, and you get to know all these soldiers on the plane, and they don't all even hit the ground alive. So right from the beginning, you're like, who am I supposed to like here? I don't want to get attached to anybody.
I was also flashing back to Dunkirk.
Yes, it's Dunkirk as well. But it was more Saving Private Ryan for me. But yeah, there's any of those World War II like action-oriented movies.
I hadn't gotten to see Overlord yet. I haven't really gone to the movies a lot lately, but I did get the Blood Island collection from Severin, which is the I haven't dug into them yet, but holy shit, is this a beautiful set. I was good this Black Friday though. I only purchased the Planet of the Apes collection and Rocky collection, and pre-ordered the Brian De Palma, Robert De Niro early years trilogy too. So
cool.
But yeah, it was really good. I did though get my new Loot Fright in for December, and this theme was Winter Fears. So there's a lot of cool stuff there. It came with a At the Mountains of Madness t-shirt, which is a really great design. Came with a few Krampus themed items, including a cookie cutters to look like ornaments and like characters from Krampus, and a cookie plate, which I actually had to have the conversation with my girlfriend where, are we decorative plate people? Are we the type of people that would put a plate on display? Because it's a really cool design. So, I mean, this is the second crate I've gotten from it, and I'm sold. So I'm going to keep getting them bi-monthly, I think.
Cool.
Yeah.
What else have you guys done since we talked?
Well, I've actually done 2 midnight screenings at the New Art in a row. Last week, I was at the midnight screening of Dude Bro Party Massacre 3, which, in my personal opinion, is one of the greatest horror comedies of the 2000s.
With the best villain's name, Motherface, right?
Yes, because instead of a sorority being stalked by a male slasher, it's a fraternity of dude bros being stalked by a female slasher named Motherface. And the best way to put it, a friend of mine said, it's the airplane of horror comedies, because there's like a joke every like few seconds. And last night, I was at a midnight screening of Mandy, my movie of the year.
There was a Mandy midnight screening at the theater near me, my art house theater, last weekend, and I was just too exhausted to go. But it's on Shudder now, so eventually I'm gonna get to it.
Oh, James, you haven't seen it yet?
No, I would rather have seen it on a big screen at midnight, but I just couldn't get up there to do it.
But yeah, that's the thing though. Last night it was a totally sold out show. Like the line was around the block. Like people like are dying to see it in theaters. And also there was a cool Q&A at the beginning. Joe Lynch, the director of Mayhem and Everly, was moderating questions with I think his name was Doug Hansen from SpectreVision, who was talking about the making of the movie just before the show. But yeah, no, it's always so fun with a crowd. I was sitting in the second row to get a full face full out, and I've been having trouble staying awake for like late night screens like that, but these midnight shows with like Dude Bro and Mandy at the New Art, just kept me pumping, having so much fun. So it was a blast.
How many times have you seen Mandy between theatrical preview screenings and owning the Blu-ray? How many times have you watched the movie?
I'd say at least 10.
How many times have you watched Rampage, Korea?
Dude, I've only seen like Rampage like 3 or 4 times maybe. So
I just wanted to see who was in the lead. Yeah.
I do have to say, first of all, listeners, take this in for a moment. I've seen a movie before. James has. Oh, is this a first? I think it is, because I saw Mandy recently. I got it on Blu-ray, and sorry, Jacob, it didn't hit me like that. For me, I like Panos Cosmatos, but his films come off very slow for me, and this one I think was a step up in pacing from Beyond the Black Rainbow, and there was definitely a lot of cool stuff, but he always is very beautiful with the cinematography and what's happening, but the pacing for me was killing it for me for a lot of it, because I'm just like, I just need it. I know stuff's gonna happen and I need it to just happen already. But that third act was really good when it came down to it.
I'm a little worried that it's a little too hyped and I'm not going to enjoy, because I'm in the same boat as you. I thought that Beyond the Black Rainbow was a little slow.
Yeah.
And I have the same problem with what Nicholas Winding Refn's movies, Drive, Neon Demon. It's like they look beautiful. I'm all, something happened, please, something happened. And I don't want it to be like that. But I mean, with Nicolas Cage, something's happening, though.
Yeah, it is a little slow burn at the beginning, but when shit goes down, it goes down hard.
No, I did like Mandy. I just for me, I know that that's going to be a major thing that you're going to see, especially with the horror bros, of them saying, "Oh, it's not that good. It was so slow. Nothing was happening." You're going to see them really rag on that.
Oh boy!
Like, I'll admit
they were saying that about Hereditary.
Which I finally saw, and holy shit, Hereditary got me hard.
Yeah.
Fuck, man. Okay.
Welcome to the club.
I thought Hereditary was going to be oh my god, it was way too overhyped for me. No, dude, I knew nothing going into that movie. And
that's the way to watch it.
Dude, it brought me back to being a kid and growing up in the woods and, being scared of what I couldn't see in the dark when I shut off all the lights before going to bed. I remember when we went to bed, I jokingly turned to my girlfriend, Lindsay, and just went, "Oh, what if there's something up in that dark corner?" And then I freaked myself out so hard doing that. And this is how effective Hereditary, I think, is as a movie. It made me so uncomfortable to watch a child eat a candy bar.
Oh, I know.
Just thinking about it makes me cringe.
Yeah, and just hearing that mouth click noise now, if I don't see who's doing it, I will freak out.
Someone picked up on that in both. I saw it at a press screening, then I went back on opening night with a full sold out, because I wanted to see, and you both know the scene that I'm talking about that I wanted to see with a full crowd. And in both screenings, people picked up on that, so you would hear from the audience, you'd hear the clicks, and it was a little annoying, because you're like, because also the sound design in that comes from all over the place. So you're thinking, you're like, was that from the audience? Is that part of the movie? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Hereditary really got under my skin.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I mean, a lot of people complain about pacing, but it did such a great job of just setting up its scares.
And it also did a good job of letting you catch your breath after it. Like the scene that I'm talking about, which you guys know where it is. I mean, it's not spoiling anything to say it's the car scene.
Yeah.
And after it happens, you feel the wind come out of the whole audience. And the kid, the kid sits there in the car for about 20, 30 seconds catching his breath the same way the audience does. It's so well done. It's just so well done. It's like the director knows we have to come up for air right here, so let's make the movie come up for air. It's one of the years, but the more I talk about it, the higher it goes up on my top 10 list.
I want to say something about that scene, but it's going to spoil it so hard.
Yeah, no, keep it sealed.
I'm going to keep it simple. We'll talk about that bit after we're done recording. But yeah, Hereditary quickly jumped up to one of my favorite movies of the year. Definitely.
I think it might be my number 3 at this point.
Mandy's my number 1, but Hereditary is in my top 3.
I thought Mandy was your top 3, and then Hereditary was number 4.
Mandy 3 times, or just top 10, 9 times Mandy, 1 time Hereditary.
And Rampage is at 11.
Yeah. Of course.
What else we got to talk about before we move on? Are we good? Are we all caught up with people? All right, let's move on to our subgenre of the. Geez, what is the subgenre of the quarter this time?
Yeah.
What's our subgenre, Jacob?
Subgenre of this show, I guess. But anyway, well, without going into the main topic too much, and considering the time of season, I figured we would talk about winter or snow horror. You know, that's horror movies that use the ice, cold, and snow as their foundation and, you know, environment. So, of course, the first one that comes to mind and what got me thinking about it was John Carpenter's The Thing. You know, just because, you know, being out in the snow, you know, I feel a lot of time it, you know, builds up a sense of isolation and, you know, just how harsh the environment is. Because, the main reason that Outpost 31 is so isolated is because it's winter in the Antarctic, so they can barely contact anybody and they can't really go anywhere, and, you know, it's just as smothering as The Thing is.
And I think that's a huge major theme when it comes to horror films set in winter is isolation, which it is always something that effectively hits me really hard because I grew up in a log house in the woods. So, like, I understand that, like, when you're sitting outside and all you hear is snow falling and it's just like a really weird, like, quiet that can become uneasy. And for me, I think obviously The Thing is one of my all-time favorites. I own like 4 fucking copies of it on Blu-ray. It's ridiculous at this point. But including the new Scream Factory Steelbook, you double-dipping fucks. Just taking my money all the time. But one of the ones that I always like to mention is Frozen. Not the Disney movie,
yes.
but
the Adam Green.
Adam Green.
Yes. And
talk about isolation.
Yeah.
I mean, Frozen is
phenomenal, especially since, like, I like Adam Green. I like the Hatchet movies, but, like, they're super schlocky. They're super, you know, like, over the top and all that. And then to go from that to Frozen, which is very tense. It's slow, but it's purposely slow so that you're in it. It's about a group of skiers and snowboarders who get stuck on a lift. And it closes down for, like, winter break or something
over the week,
over the weekend.
So they're
weekend?
stuck on it.
It's like they tried to get one more go on the slope in, but I don't know, there was a miscommunication or they weren't supposed to be there, so the people running the lift think it's empty, so they stop the lift and they're like 50 feet in the air, like nobody's around them, like there's no way for them to call for help. So yeah, it's like it's a very, very simple but very frightening premise.
I'm with you, Kriya. I love Adam Green's movies, but Frozen is by far my favorite, and that is because it's just there's nothing schlocky about it. It is just a terrifying concept, and it's executed in a terrifying way. I mean, and there's so many cringeworthy moments where you're like, oh, did that happen? You know, I mean, not quite as many as Hereditary, but
it's a lot of little bits. Like, there's one scene where one of the characters has to pee, and they're stuck on the lift. And, like, by this point, they've been on it for a while, so they're, like, freezing up. Some of them are getting, like, stuck to things, like, you know, it's like they took the scene in A Christmas Story and turned it into a horror film where the kid sticks his tongue to the bowl with some of the bits.
The girl took one of her gloves off to smoke, and she lost her gloves, so one of her hands does not have a glove on, and that's, you know, that ends up sticking to the bar when she falls asleep. Oh my god.
And I don't think you understand. I used to be,
and that's not even the main threat. That's not even the main, you know.
I used to ski all the time, so I used to do stuff like that. Take off my glove, drop it. I've jumped off lifts, like everything that happens in those movies, like, has happened to me, but not to that extent that it happens to them in that. But, like, whenever, like, I think about the times where I took off my glove, I'm like, oh man, it could have been like in Frozen. But dude, when she pees herself, that scene was so intense just because it's like that one moment of, like, warmth. And so there's, like, a bit of a relief, not only from relieving herself, but also of, like, having some warmth for a moment. And then immediately, like, it gets cold and it's like, oh,
it freezes.
Fuck. And it just keeps going and going and it doesn't stop.
Yeah. And of course, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention one of the ultimate snowbound horror movies, The Shining.
Oh, yeah. Again, that's isolation. That's, they're
fever.
Snowed in. Yes, and no one's coming for them, and they're not going anywhere.
Yep. Oh man.
When I think of these winter movies, and and I've brought it up before, and I will fight anyone who argues with me, The Hateful Eight, which is influenced by The Thing, if you think about it, because you go into this thing, and at least one of these people, we find out that it's more than one, is not who they pretend to be. And it's even got Kurt Russell, and I think he even says that line. He's all, one of you is not who you say you are.
Plus, Ennio Morricone did the soundtrack for both.
Yes. And more. Yeah. But it's, and the reason I say, it's a horror movie is if you get all the way through, it's 3 hours long. If you get all the way through it, though, the last act turns into this bloody mess of it's like a Tales from the Crypt episode, and you're like, okay,
I was about to say that must have been a major influence, Tales from the Crypt, on a lot of that.
Yeah, at least that last act. When I actually went to this is how much I love Hateful Eight. I went to a press screening of it, and then and again, this is a 3-hour movie, and then when they had another press screening of it, I went to that one too, and I brought my wife along with me, and as we were leaving, my wife is like, she told me that she kept like holding her jacket to her, because watching the movie, you get cold along with these characters. She's all, that made me really cold watching that. And that's what these movies do. I mean, The Thing does that. It's a frigid movie. The Shining, not so much, because they're inside and they're running the heat. Frozen, you get cold watching those three people up on that damn ski lift. It's... I think these winter movies, they make you feel what the characters are feeling, because everybody can relate to being cold. Not everyone can relate to being stabbed in the in the whatever, or shot, or axed, but everyone knows what it's like to be freezing,
being isolated. Yeah, it's universal.
Yeah, it's like just we are warm-blooded beings, so we are attracted to warmth, and we don't like the cold. So yeah, it's just one of those primal elements.
I do have to say, my only critique with Hateful Eight, because I purposely sought out seeing it on 70mm. I was so excited for that, and I was a little disappointed in the fact that it's shot on like 70mm, this big format, and most of it takes place in one space. And I was just like, I want more of those outside shots.
It's a stage
But you know
play.
what? I was thinking that until the scene where Samuel L. Jackson forces the dude to suck his dick. And I was like, all right, that was worth witnessing on 70mm. That was worth.
God bless it.
And that is a spoiler. I'm sorry if you haven't seen Hateful Eight, but Korea just totally ruined part of it.
I mean, it's been a few years, so...
Here's the question, though. Did that really happen, or was he just telling a story?
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
I saw it on 70mm.
Because they show it.
For me.
Have you guys seen that movie Wind Chill?
No.
It's about a girl she's driving home for Christmas break from college, and this one guy basically he it doesn't really hitch a ride with her, but he's like, let's split gas and I'll go with you. And the car breaks down, so they're stuck in the snow in this car, and there's this dude who winds up being kind of a stalkery dude, and you're like, it's kind of that Frozen thing, but it's kind of a combination of actually Frozen and Hateful Eight, because it's just the two of them stuck in this car, but then she's like, is this guy who he says he is, or is he someone else? It's and it gets kind of supernatural at times too, but it's another one of those ones where you feel the snow, you feel cold.
Nice. I'll have to keep an eye out for that one.
And one other winter horror I definitely have to mention, although it's probably the silliest of the lot, Jack Frost.
Oh my God! Well, Jack Frost. Yeah. You're jumping to the topic now, because Jack Frost.
It's not really a holiday movie though. It's just a movie about a killer fucking snowman.
Which I love. Looks like Christmas came early.
Look, Ma, I'm a Picasso. Yeah, just
he's so many one-liners. How is he not up there with like Chucky and Freddy Krueger?
I don't know, man. Because it was kind of from that very niche subgenre of serial killer magically or scientifically turned into even deadlier thing. But yeah, it's like a serial killer who just so happens to be named Jack Frost is caught in the snowman capital of Colorado, and then he gets doused with like this chemical compound that combines his DNA with snow, so he turns himself into a snowman and goes around killing people.
Yeah.
While saying one-liners, of course.
I just always remember when I think of those movies, the old VHS tapes for them. They would always have the
yeah, the lenticular,
the 3D covers.
3D graphic.
Yeah.
Angry Jack, Happy Jack. Angry Jack, Happy Jack.
Yeah.
It scared the shit out of me when I was a kid.
I loved
going
it.
through Blockbuster.
Was that Shannon Elizabeth?
Yeah, Shannon Elizabeth during
Yeah.
the rape scene.
The bathtub scene, yeah.
Yeah, Shannon Elizabeth.
Where he gets into her bathwater and the carrot is not on his face. Ooh.
Yeah, that was pretty fucked up.
Yeah. But I do have to say, as terrifying or as like much of a horror film as that Jack Frost is, I view the Michael Keaton Jack Frost movie as way more terrifying. That snowman was creepy as shit. Just them trying to kind of make the snowman's face kind of Keaton-esque, but also not at all. Just made it.
Didn't those movies come out like the same year? So can you imagine taking the kids to see Jack Frost?
I think the horror Jack Frost actually came out first. I could be wrong.
Okay, but they're pretty close to each other. Yeah, but it's the same concept. It's a dude who gets turned into a snowman. It's just one winds up being a killer and the other winds up being a loving father, I guess. I don't know.
Basically.
No, they're basically the same movie, just they diverge and one wants to kill people and the other one wants to reconnect with his son as a snowman. You know, they have the same themes where it's just trying to find a connection when you're cold on the inside.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, basically. A little bit.
I see an iHorror article coming up here. You gotta names the same.
I gotta write my Mandy versus Drive Angry one first because
oh boy,
I like Mandy and I recognize it's a better made film than Drive Angry, but god damn it, I love Drive Angry. Like, and I rewatched it recently, and like it's even more batshit and weird than I remember. And
I really need to rewatch it myself.
Oh, it's great.
It has been a while.
It's just there's like so off topic, but what is our main topic for this episode?
All right, yeah, let's get into it. We are talking about horror for the holidays. Because we got Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, Festivus all rolled into 1 month. And, of course, horror loves the holidays, so there's so many different horror movies associated with said holidays and plenty of horror movies that people watch as per tradition or, on the holidays. Okay, so getting right into it, I think, we should talk about perhaps one of the big ones, the big Christmas horror movies, Black Christmas.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Made from the same man who made A Christmas Story.
Yeah, that still messes me up. Like, how did that happen?
Bob Clark's just amazing like that.
He was very amazing.
When you were saying the big one, I was thinking Silent Night, Deadly Night. So we have different ideas of what the big one is. But let's talk Black Christmas first.
Wait, actually, when he said the big one, I was thinking Gremlins. So we are like not on the same page with this at all.
At least we were close. Gremlins. What are you
different opinions? Well,
and Die Hard's a Christmas movie, right?
No.
Oh God,
it totally is.
Don't fucking start that right now, James. God damn it.
Oh God.
Yeah, I opened a can of worms I should have left shut. Okay, let's go to Black Christmas.
Yeah, let's just start with Black Christmas. Just because it has a lot of it is a very noteworthy horror movie. For one thing, it was an influence on the new Halloween movie. Like, when they screened Halloween at Beyond Fest, David Gordon Green and Danny McBride, when they were, setting it up, they played the original Halloween, but they also played the original Black Christmas because they cited that as an influence. And Black Christmas is a linchpin slasher movie coming out before Carpenter's Halloween, and really helping to establish holiday horror. It's still such an unsettling movie too, because unlike a lot of horror movies in general, it leaves a lot of ambiguity. Because, all we really know is, there's this dude named Billy, and he's making those crazy-ass calls, and he kills a lot of people.
Have you guys ever seen the remake, Black Xmas?
Black Xmas.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
I actually got that on HD DVD not too long ago, because, I'm with the times. I'm current on my technology. And I watched it, and it is, in name and plot, shares a lot. But, man, they change a lot with, what Billy was. They, add in a sister, I think. I don't know. It got real confusing with that. But it was really gory in, the most ridiculous ways, sleazy, too. And cheesy as fuck.
Yeah. Well, it was from that era in the mid 2000s where they were just pumping out horror remakes by the dozen. And actually, it holds a soft spot in my heart, because that came out around 2006, and that was the first year I was working at the Chestnut Hill movie theater. And I actually remember. I think I sat in for that one on an off day, or it admittedly didn't get a whole lot of business. So it was. When I was checking screens, I'd come in and see somebody getting an icicle stabbed in their head, or somebody getting shivved with a candy cane. So it's a very ridiculous movie, and it's because that's the thing. The original Black Christmas really built on tension, and it's a lot of ambiguity in what you don't see. But Black Xmas, just goes full goes for the throat, just gore and sleaze and grossness. So
it's kind of the difference between Carpenter's Halloween and Zombies Halloween.
Yeah. Which again, that remake was about the same time too. Yeah,
I mean, there's nothing subtle about Black Xmas, whereas Black Christmas was built on subtlety. So,
but I do have to say also, Black Xmas had a weird obsession with eye gouging and people getting stabbed in the eye.
That happened a lot.
I wasn't complaining at all. I was just sitting there going is there something with this director that he just doesn't like the human eye or something? Or is I really want to know a little bit more about that. Why there was so much of it in it, It's kind of with another recent horror film with decapitations, why were there so many in that? You guys know what movie I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Also, another thing I have to mention from Black Xmas, the flesh and blood gingerbread cookies. Because fuck subtlety.
Yes, they cut out gingerbread cookies out of people's bodies.
Yeah, just oh my god, that.
And when they would eat it too.
Yeah.
So going on to Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Oh yes.
I don't know if you guys remember. I mean, I'm the old guy, so I remember when it came out. And people were pissed that there would be a depiction of Santa Claus like this, where he's killing people. But here's the thing about that. If you watch it, there's a specific reason why this kid thinks that Santa is an evil figure, because he, first scene of the movie, he watches his parents get killed by a guy in a Santa suit.
Oh,
so he...
Wait, hold up. Don't forget, also, his creepy catatonic grandfather comes out of his coma just to tell him that Santa Claus is going to kill him.
Yeah. So, as much as you want to see, Santa's not like that. He's nice. Well, there's a reason why this kid, first of all, it wasn't the real Santa.
Yeah, it's
that's
just
doing
a
any
dude
of the killing.
who goes crazy and dresses up as Santa Claus.
But it's also not the first killer Santa, because when I especially think of Christmas and Christmas horror, the thing that comes to my mind is the original Tales from the Crypt movie. With that one scene, or that one story about the woman who kills her husband, and then an escaped lunatic from the asylum is dressed up like Santa, and he keeps trying to get in and murder them. That film to this day still terrifies me.
Yeah,
and they remade it for the TV show too. I mean, I think it might have been the first episode.
Yeah, not as effectively though. Yeah. I know Zemeckis directed that episode.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good, for a pilot. But the thing I really like about the original Tales from the Crypt movie version is just that the killer Santa is so innocuous, because it's just just a guy, just like any other guy that could be dressed up as Santa Claus, as opposed to the TV version who just looks like a deranged lunatic.
Yeah.
Right. But, oh man, dude, that bell at the end, the little girl coming out, look, Mommy, Santa's here.
Yeah.
Oh, you dumb child. That's not it. No. That's one of those movies where I start yelling at the TV.
Okay.
A lot.
But there are, like you say, there are like what is it? Don't open till Christmas. Is that one? There are other.
Oh yeah.
There are other.
Well, actually, that one's unique because it isn't so much
He's
about
killing Santas.
It's about a guy that's going around and killing people dressed as Santa Claus.
Killing Santas.
Like the best though was when he kills like the hot dog vendor dressed as Santa and like shoves his face into the grill until his fake beard catches on fire. Oh my god! Again, again on holiday horror movies without subtlety.
Yeah.
So then what is it about Santa that makes us either want to kill other people dressed as him or want to kill people who are dressed as him?
Well, could it be that one little letter that you switch around to make Santa into Satan?
Don't bring Satan into this. He didn't.
He runs around in a
wrong.
red suit, tempting little kids with materialistic gain.
Well,
I don't know.
I think it's more just it's like horror. It's more a corruption of an innocent institution, because like Santa Claus is supposed to be, the spirit of Christmas, and like he's pure good, and he gives gifts to all the good little girls and boys, and cold to the bad kids. But what if he was evil, and it kind of messes up your worldview.
He also commits massive amounts of breaking and entry.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I guess that's the thing too, because there is
and
an
we're
actual
okay with
phobia.
it because he leaves us stuff.
There is an actual designated phobia specifically of Santa Claus. Like, there are a lot of people out there and a lot of kids who are genuinely freaked out by the idea of Santa Claus. And I mean, yeah, there is a lot of creepiness to him. He's this magical entity that lives in the North Pole and monitors everybody 24/7 to see if they're bad or good. And depending on how you act, he, that's the thing, it diverges in legends. Well, I guess that goes into another one we'll be bringing up, the Krampus. But well, that's the thing too. I'm Jewish, so I'm an outside observer on this one, but
which is great because you are Jewish and you are giving us a lecture about Santa Claus. So I'm loving this moment.
Again, as an outside observer, there are a lot of weird elements to Santa, and horror, a lot of horrors, like inversions of the usual. So Santa's usually a good guy that gives presents. So what if he's a psychopath that hacks people up with an axe? It's scary.
What if he's actually a skeleton and he's dropping weird swamp biting things into presents and giving them out?
Well, I think that you hit the nail on the head when you said they're corrupting an institution of innocence. Mean, Santa Claus is all that's good in the world, supposedly, and so if you turn him into a killer, there's nothing more frightening than that, especially to a kid. Which this is why 1984. People were up and they were literally picketing theaters that Silent Night, Deadly Night was playing.
I love watching those pictures and videos.
Yeah.
But the best part is they weren't outraged at the movie. They were outraged at the trailer more than anything because the trailer actually showed him dressed as Santa with very little context that it wasn't Santa killing people. And that's what people were really pissed off about.
But honestly, how often do these people who protest movies see the movie that they're protesting?
Hardly ever.
They're usually going off reputation, yeah. So.
I mean, there was that one person who sued a movie theater because Drive wasn't Fast and the Furious. So they definitely watched the movie.
Oh boy!
Well, there was a guy who sued Suicide Squad because the Joker wasn't in it enough. Do you guys remember hearing about that one?
Oh God, I forgot about that one.
What a prick!
Oh boy!
I mean, he's not wrong, but also at the same time, just
anyway, yeah. So I think Silent Night, Deadly Night, out of all of these, probably was the most controversial, and especially. Also, it was the mid-'80s, so commercialism and family values were at an all-time high. So
these are the Reagan years, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I feel like that was definitely a factor for why there was such outrage as opposed to, you know, some of these Christmas horror movies from the 70s.
Now, have either of you guys seen the, quote, remake of Silent Night? It's just called Silent Night, not Silent Night, Deadly Night.
It's been on my list for a while, though.
It's exactly what we were talking about with Black Christmas. There's nothing subtle about it. Santa Claus walks around with a flamethrower.
Yeah, I remember that.
And he shoves a girl into a wood chipper. I mean, it's much more brutal than even Silent Night, Deadly Night, which is actually still a pretty brutal movie.
Oh, yeah.
But it's exactly what you expect from a Michael Bay era. It's not Michael Bay, but that era remake, you know,
yeah,
where
Platinum
they just
Dune remake.
Yeah, where they pump up the brutality.
Yeah. Now, before we get into Krampus, because of course we're going to talk about Krampus quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
I have a question. Now, we talk about holiday horror, and Jacob introduced this topic in talking, and he mentioned all these different holidays, but so many of these holiday horror films are about Christmas. Are there, I can't think of any, but are there any like Hanukkah horror films or Kwanzaa horror films or Festivus horror films or anything like that?
Well, I will say I do wish that there was a Festivus horror movie, but no, you're honestly you're right. Like there really aren't that many. I know that there's a horror movie called Hanukkah. I haven't seen it myself, but I think it came out this year with like Sid Haig. But yeah, and Kwanzaa horror, I don't remember hearing anything about that, and I doubt there is. So yeah, admittedly, as with most things, Christmas is dominating the market on this one.
But there's New Year's Evil.
Oh yeah, there's New Year's. There's some New Year's horror movies. Was Terror Train set on New Year's?
Yes,
yeah.
Terror Train was.
Yeah.
Terror Train was on New Year's.
Yeah, so you know, it's you know, that I feel like New Year's definitely has a lot of potential, and I'm pretty sure there's a couple other New Year's set horror movies here and there.
What about this rash? There's been kind of a rash of new Christmas movies. Like have you guys seen Better Watch Out?
Oh
yes.
yeah. I saw that on Shudder, and I actually won a copy at Dead Right Horror Trivia. Yeah, that one was very interesting.
It doesn't really have much to do with Christmas. It's more like just a It's more like just
a fucked up Home Alone.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. So, but that one's and also, yeah. Speaking of fucked up, did you guys see Red Christmas?
No.
Oh my God, Red Christmas is. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil it, but it's about there's this family, and it's I want to say Barbara Crampton, but it's Dee Wallace, not Barbara Crampton, Dee Wallace. She plays this mom, and her family's together for Christmas, and then this guy, this mysterious stranger, starts stalking them, and it is so they eventually reveal who this stranger is, and it is so ridiculous. It's pretty awesome, Red Christmas, but it's one of those brutal, you know, post slashers, I guess is what you'd call it. And it's but it's pretty ridiculous. It's worth a watch. It's probably on Shudder or maybe even Netflix. It's
probably somewhere or another. But I have to mention one of my personal favorite holiday Christmas horror movies, Santa's Sleigh, starring motherfucking Goldberg as Killer Santa Claus.
Speaking of wrestlers playing the leads, we talked about Hornswoggle. Here's Goldberg.
Yeah, no, I feel this movie is very underrated just because it knows exactly what it is, so it is a little self-referential, and the opening should be legendary because let's see, I believe it was Chris Kattan and Harvey Keitel are like having Christmas dinner like with the rest of the family and like their wives and stuff, and then Goldberg comes in and slaughters them all, and despite being a Christmas-oriented movie, there is a scene where Goldberg kills a Jewish guy with his menorah.
Oh, okay.
You know, I'm a little disappointed that Korea didn't. I totally threw up a softball for him to mention The Rock when I talked about wrestlers in movies, and he didn't take the Rampage bait.
Oh, yeah, The Rock was in Rampage. I'm sorry, I
didn't even notice him.
We've already mentioned it like 3 times.
I get distracted in that movie by George the Gorilla and my boy Joe Manganiello. So you know,
yeah, for the 5 minutes he's in it.
Yeah, but I love that guy. I'm forever a fan.
Now, speaking of we mentioned earlier Gremlins. Of
Yes.
these movies that, and also we mentioned Die Hard, which, we're going to agree to disagree because Die Hard's totally a Christmas movie. But anyway, what about these movies that aren't really Christmas movies, but they're set around Christmas? Like my favorite example of this is Paranormal Activity, The Ghost Dimension. Has nothing to do with Christmas, but there's always a Christmas tree in the background because it takes place around Christmas. Oh, The Ghost Dimension. It's better than Paranormal Activity 4, but it is, but that's where it stops on the better thans. The other 4 entries are all better than it.
Yeah, but I couldn't. I was kind of intrigued at seeing Ghost Dimension in theaters because it was in 3D, but then I was like, do I really want to see a found footage movie in 3D?
Interestingly enough, they pull it off. They pull it off because because the camera that they find is like a SpectraVision camera where that captures ghostly images. They pull off the 3D found footage. I was a little skeptical of that too, but
I just figured with Ghost Dimension, like that would just cause like all the motion sickness with the 3D and the constant shaky and all that.
The 3D effects are mainly like ghosts. It's not like you're going upstairs and it looks like a 3D staircase. It's mainly the ghosties that are 3D. So it's not as bothersome as you think, and they pulled it off pretty well. I mean, I sound like I'm defending the movie, and it's not. I mean, like I say, it's not as bad as 4, but it is the second worst in the franchise.
Yeah, well, I've only seen the first 4, so I might have to look into that. But I would argue, honestly, as much as Gremlins more so just kind of takes place around Christmas, they do incorporate a lot of Christmas stuff into it.
Including a horrifying story.
Yeah, and dude, and I love Gremlins 2 when they make fun of Phoebe Cates telling like the tragic family story connected to a holiday. Because that scene in Gremlins was so ridiculous. It's like, let's pause everything that's going on for Phoebe Cates to go, and my father, he was in the chimney days later. Dun, dun, dun. I remember them. It's so ridiculous. But I mean, there were so many kills. There were so many themes. I mean, the movie opens up with a big Christmas song. So it's definitely like Christmas oriented. There's a lot of jokes with it. It's not like based on like the folklore or whatever about Christmas, but I think I would definitely argue that it is a Christmas movie, especially since it's all about gifts and giving and how those gifts can turn really bad, which is why, please, people out there, don't just give animals to people as presents. That's kind of fucked up, especially bunnies. Like, that's a big commitment to just shove onto someone on a holiday.
So Home Alone, since Kevin from Home Alone grows up to be Jigsaw, does that mean that Home Alone is a horror movie? You guys have heard that old theory, right?
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
And it kind of makes sense, too, if you suspend your disbelief a little bit.
Or my opinion is he becomes the collector from the collector.
Yeah. Even more. Yeah, even more.
But let's get into it. Krampus. Michael Dougherty's Krampus.
Yes, I love that movie so much.
Yeah. Now that's a good Christmas horror movie.
Yes.
And also I feel like that's the movie that really put Krampus on the map.
It did. And I can tell you, as someone who has watched a large portion of like the Krampus movies that came out around that time, they do not even, a lot of them they're so bad. There are so many really bad ones.
And there were so many of them. There were probably 10 that year.
Yeah.
Because public domain character. And like none of them, and I could even say it about Dougherty's Krampus, very few of them really nailed the actual mythology of Krampus. Like Dougherty's does a lot with the actual mythology and all that, but there's also a lot of like, playfulness with it. Like, there's no killer gingerbread men and elves involved with Krampus, but
and the style was so good.
Yeah, but I mean, they did it in a fun way. Whereas the other ones, it was like, I remember watching one and it looked like it was shot on a DV camera, and it was just
it probably was.
Yeah, it was like Mother Krampus or some shit like that.
Was it another Asylum like Mockbuster or something?
No, this one wasn't. It was like Mother Krampus or something, and it I just remember it looked like something like someone from like a freshman from my film school would make, because those classes always took place in the winter in New England, so they always had snow in them.
Yeah, but But yeah, Doherty's Krampus definitely really did the Legend of Krampus right, and great cast. You know, got Adam Scott and, you know, going back to Hereditary, Toni Collette. And David Koechner, he did great in that. And great special effects, you know, it was mostly practical. And yet really captured that Gremlins PG-13 horror vibe, because again, that was a PG-13 horror movie, so it was more accessible. And it was still genuinely scary for the whole family. And also it also had a lot of great funny bits, like those psycho gingerbread men were really funny. And
dude, the Jack in the Box.
Oh god, that thing is pure nightmare fuel.
I do have to say, Universal Studios does their horror nights every year, and one year they did Krampus, and that was the best one because they sometimes, like with when they did The Exorcist, they had it smell like puke in there during some bits. But for the Krampus one, they made it smell like gingerbread cookies for a lot of it, and it just brought it to like this next level that just like weirded me out. And like you walk in, you're like, oh, this is really wholesome, and then all of a sudden the Jack in the Box guy comes crawling across the room, and you're like, oh, okay, that's a thing.
Oh
yeah. In terms of holiday horrors, like Krampus is one of the best of recent. Speaking of modern, though, one that I'm really looking forward to is All the Creatures Were Stirring, coming out next week on Shudder. It's already out now on Blu-ray, DVD, and on demand. But it's by Rebecca and David McKendry. Rebecca hosts Shockwaves, and she also co-hosts Trivia, Dead Right Horror Trivia. And so I've been hearing about this for a while, and so I'm really excited. It does look like a pretty unique take on the Christmas horror movie, because it's a Christmas horror anthology.
yeah, I was gonna say it's an anthology, correct? Now, what about did you ever see A Christmas Horror Story?
No.
Yes, I loved that.
That one was basically an anthology as well, but all the stories connected, kind of like Trick or Treat, I guess you could say, because they all kind of weave together.
Gotcha.
But the thing about A Christmas Horror Story is that it's one of those where it's like it's not that good, but it's entertaining as fuck. And one of the last stories,
it's no Trick or Treat.
yeah. No, but the last story is Krampus versus Santa Claus, and just this really drawn out.
Speaking of Krampus and Santa, let's bring it full circle. Yeah. It's totally.
Yes.
Oh, and William Shatner is the host.
Oh god,
like he's the guy that ties all the stories together.
Wow,
he's a radio DJ, right?
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't give as good of a performance like he did in Wrath of Khan or Miss Congeniality too, but you know, he still did really. He was a great addition to it, just because of the whole like. Why? You know, I don't care why he's in this. I just love that he is.
What else we got?
Okay, not exactly. Well, that's the thing. This is an intentional horror, but I love the Mystery Science Theater Christmas movies, because the original did a couple. Okay, so the Joel era had Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, and when Mike Nelson hosted, they had just called Santa Claus. It was this weird ass Christmas movie.
Santa Claus the movie, right?
Yeah, is it called Santa Claus the movie?
Well, it's just called Santa Claus, but it was made in Mexico, I think in the 60s, and it's literally Santa Claus fighting the devil, and it's got...
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it's got...
So it's Santa versus Satan.
Well, not exactly. It's like... it's a little... measured down, because it's like Santa Claus being like this demon that the devil sends named Pitch is trying to thwart Santa, although of course he's very campy and honestly not that threatening, and he's just mostly trying to get kids to misbehave. But it's all this weird stuff, though, like they add to the mythology of Santa. Like, Santa isn't in the North Pole in this movie. He lives in a castle in space, and also he's got Merlin helping him. He's got all this like weird Magitech surveillance equipment to watch people.
You mean Merlin the magician? King
Merlin
Arthur's
the magician is living with Santa Claus in his castle in the sky in this particular movie.
Well, you guys don't remember Merlin being there in the nativity scene? You know, he came after the wise men.
Yeah, he was the fourth wise man.
Yeah, so and it also had like one of the origins of the term nightmare fuel. Like, there's this scene where Santa Claus is winding up his mechanical reindeer, and the mechanical reindeer laugh maniacally, and it is so disturbing. Yeah, just look up Santa Claus, mechanical reindeer, and you get nightmare fuel.
I'm looking that up as well as the trailer for Hanukkah now, because I am very intrigued at a Hanukkah horror film starring Sid Haig.
Yeah, that's on my list too. I do want to check that out.
What else we got? Have we beaten Christmas movies?
Well, I guess there's A Nightmare Before Christmas,
which that's we I know we jokingly brought up is Die Hard a Christmas movie, but in all honesty, do you guys view Nightmare Before Christmas as more of a Halloween movie or more of a Christmas movie? Because for me,
I think it's Christmas.
It's Christmas.
I think it's more of a Christmas movie because the whole focus is he's trying to, take over Christmas. Although, I feel like in some ways, it can go both ways.
Oh yeah, it can be watched at, and whatever holiday you're watching it closer to is the one that it. Don't let it be limited.
Yeah, but if anyone limited that movie, it was Hot Topic. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Well, they made it year round,
pretty much. But Nightmare Before Christmas is a great. Christmas horror movie. For kids, it's family friendly, but still, Oogie Boogie, the Boogeyman scared me when I was a kid.
Oh yeah, same with the original Grinch. He was really menacing. I really liked that. He was
we got to talk about the original '60s Grinch, voiced by horror legend Boris Karloff.
Yeah. Because the previous I haven't seen the new Grinch, but I hear a lot of the critiques are that he's not as
threatening.
Someone made this brilliant post where they went off about how the original Grinch from the 60s was mean, he was menacing, he was dirty, he was really bad, and the new one he kind of comes off as soft and like a jerk but not like a menace. And then someone went, what about the Jim Carrey one? He's like, he called a child a bitch, so he's on another level. Which I don't remember that, but I do remember the Grinch Baby, and that was nightmare fuel.
Yeah, there was a lot of nightmare fuel in that live-action Grinch movie, and honestly, I'm very happy that we, as a society, have decided that we no longer need live-action Dr. Seuss movies, because good God.
I don't know that we've decided that. I don't think we've seen the last of it.
Oof. But anyway, the original Grinch cartoon... I feel like kind of counts as a Christmas horror, because, the Grinch is a monster, literally, and he's trying to destroy Christmas, and, again, Boris Karloff, and it's just such a great story, the Grinch is sick and tired of all the Who's down in Whoville enjoying Christmas, so he vows to
noise.
Yeah, so he vows to destroy Christmas, so, that's evil.
I always felt bad for his dog.
Yeah, Max. Yeah, well, he's sympathetic. He's just, he's just the Grinch's dog. He's, kind of stuck in the situation.
He needs to be fed more. The original Max was very skinny dog, and I always just wanted to give him a can of dog food.
He's got those big ol' eyes.
Yeah, but and let's not forget they did make a Grinch Halloween one too for the original 60s one.
What was that called? The Grinch Night. Grinch Night.
It was what?
Yeah, it was like Grinch Night or something, right? Halloween is Grinch Night.
Yeah, Halloween is Grinch Night.
I remember I saw a Twitter thing the other day. Somebody defending the Grinch. They said, "How would you feel if every 5 minutes some guy was singing a song about what a dick you are?"
No, I saw that. The exact words were, "Yeah, you'd be kind of a jerk too if someone was singing about how much of a piece of shit you are." I lost it when I read that because they're not wrong, but just the fact that they said how much of a piece of shit you are made it better.
All right, so let's wrap this up. I think we've
ending it on the Grinch. Good way to go.
Yes, good way to go. Let's get out of here. Our theme music is not by DMP, even though it's the same music. DMP is no more. They are now called Restless Spirit. So if you have gone to their Facebook page and liked it, and you're suddenly getting updates from Restless Spirit, don't panic. That's just the new DMP. And if you haven't done that, you should go to Restless Spirit, because Restless Spirit is our theme music.
Yeah.
They
awesome.
changed their name. Everything else is the same.
Badass.
Everything else is the same. They just changed their name because I think it had something to do with the fact that DMP stands for Death Metal Pope, and they didn't want to alienate the Catholics in their crowd. You know, the death metal Catholic fans, the Catholic death metal fans.
They're doing the opposite of MDC, Million Dead Cops. You know,
I thought it was
MDC
Millions of
leaned
Dead
into their
Christians.
name hard and then changed it to Million Dead Christians, and then you know, which if you ever look into MDC, John Wayne was a Nazi. It's just an American classic.
So everybody go and give Restless Spirit some love, because that's the rock that you hear before you hear us start talking. And also our artwork is Chris Fisher. And he has not changed his name, so
Yep, same name.
So yeah, same name. Chris Fisher's the same. Where can we find you guys on Twitter, Jacob?
All right, you can find me at Jacob Davison _. That is at JACOB DAVISON _ on Twitter.
And you can find me on all my social media. Me being Jonathan Korea, of course, at Korean Barbecue. That's CORREIANBBQ. And also don't forget to check out iHorror on Stardust. We actually just passed 1,100 followers on there, so check us out there. You also see Kelly posting on there a lot. If you remember her from a previous episode, she's pretty great, of course. And
you can find me at Cinema Verite. That's Verite, that's Cinema Verite, but with Verite, that's FEARITE. And you can find any of us at the Eye on Horror Facebook page or the iHorror Facebook page. You can find any of us and a bunch of other talented and knowledgeable writers. And we'll try to not stay away as long as we have this time, because we've missed you guys.
Yeah, we love doing the show. And it's January's rolling around, so I think things are going to be a little slower, so it should be a little bit easier.
Absolutely. Life gets in the way sometimes, and but hey, I'm sure that you guys haven't missed us as much as we've missed you. So we'll see you next time. I'm James J. Edwards.
I'm Jacob Davison.
I'm Jonathan Korea.
Keep your eye on horror.
And happy horror days.